Oh yeah, it's a rattlesnake. Yeah, you can see it there. Does not want me getting close. So a bunch of the roads in Mexico are toll roads. So I'm just getting on the scenic highway here, and there's a 44 peso or $2.65 charge for the tariff. I'm going to pay that, and then we will be off basically cruising down the coast. I think this is going to be really pretty and really cool. Okay, off we go. Great. And now, the coastal highway. Oh, this is so pretty already. I love it. So, unless otherwise posted, usually the speed limit in Mexico is going to be 90 kilometers an hour, which is about 56 miles an hour. Some of the highways and interstates will be faster. They'll be 100 or 110, which kind of takes you up into the 60 and 65 mile an hour range. But because I haven't seen any speed signs, I'm assuming 90 on this. Working up the hillsides in Mexico is usually municipal owned land, and so when you see houses starting to be built, a lot of times what this is, and I know this is the case in Mexico City and some of the other larger cities, this is land that the city basically didn't defend against people who needed housing, and so they essentially just start moving in and building favela type of housing. Oh man, I don't know how good of a view this is. If I'll have a chance to pull over here. Look at this. Gosh, that's pretty. Okay, there we go. So we're 110. So I'm going to be able to go about 65. I'm a little bit cautious about pulling out on some of these exits that I'm seeing and not being able to get back on the road. If there's an obvious pullover spot, I will take it. But until then, I guess I'm going to appreciate the view from the road. Pull-off area, like you would normally find in the US. Holy mackerel. Oh man, this truck almost took my car out. Whew. Anyway, large amounts of trash, but beautiful views. Look at that. So I've gotten past most of the areas along the coast where there's lots of settlements, lots of housing going up to the water, making it difficult to get down to it. So I'm expecting now, kind of moving south, I may be half the way down to Ensenada, So I'm gonna actually shoot past Ensenada and get down into the Santo Tomas area, where the couple of brothers, the Australian brothers, Jake and Callum Robinson and Jack Rhoad, were killed here a few weeks ago. They had been surfing along the coast here, and the official story is that they were killed by a guy who wanted the tires off of their truck. However, they were each shot, it sounds like, once in the head, and that sounds suspect. A fair amount of the people that I've been chatting with are saying that it's unlikely that it was what it was claimed to have been, this kind of random, hey, I want your truck or the tires off of your truck type of thing, and instead they may have seen or been somewhere where they shouldn't have. So I'm going to get down into that area and do a little shooting just so people can see where it's at, what it looks like down there. At an inspection point here. How visible this is going to be, but this is kind of coming up into the populated area of Baja California Norte, just a little ways south of Ensenada, and it looks like the pretty big line of folks waiting to get inspected. So just got off of the Ruta 1 and onto the road that's going to take me out to La Bocana, where the bodies were found. It's about 4 kilometers away from where the surfers were killed, off of a pretty remote point. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it all the way, because this is not a paved road, and I am not driving a car that can probably make it easily. So we'll see. I'm going to try and get out there as far as I can and see what happens. I'm about 5 kilometers into the trip into the hills, heading out towards the coast and La Bocana, starting in Santo Tomas. And I hopped out to take a leak and almost walked on this, what I'm assuming is a rattlesnake. So, wildlife. Oh yeah, it's a rattlesnake. You can see it there. Does not want me getting close. So he was about halfway into a prairie dog burrow. Anyway, gonna leave him alone and continue on my way. The calf was trying to nurse, headbutting Mom. Mom was concerned that I was getting closer and closer. So driving up this, it's various spots where we get some flat land, and pretty much wherever there's flat land, it looks like there's some cultivation going. So I am about 2/3 of the way there. The road doesn't seem to be getting substantially worse, so I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to make it all the way. It looks like there's power lines running all the way out here, so I would expect that there's going to be some civilization, maybe some houses out at La Bocana. So let's check it out. Hello everyone. I hope it's not too windy that I can't be heard, but I made it to La Bocana. small hamlet. There's even a little store there. Camping, don't throw away trash. Welcome to paradise. So this is where the surfers' bodies were dumped, somewhere in one of these properties. There's a well, shallow well about 15 feet deep that the bodies were dumped inside of. Wanted to give everybody a view of just what this looks like. It's a beautiful stretch of coast. This was quite a drive to get out here. Took me probably between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half. Had to go pretty slow in order to make it. The road's not paved, but it's not in terrible shape either for a gravel road. They keep it pretty regularly graded. I'm just hiking up here to get a little different view of everything. Man, this is pretty. Pretty and pretty remote. Although there is power out here. That's funny. There's these little signs. Esta playa es tuya. This beach is yours. Have good memories. That's great. Oh. Actually, some nice little houses up here. Yeah, it's pretty. So I was thinking I would get the drone in the air when I got down here, but I don't think it's gonna make it. I think it's probably a little too windy. Maybe we'll give it a shot. Get a view. Hopefully this gives a little bit of context to what happened, what part of Mexico this is, what this looks like. second. Alright, there we go. And let's set her down. There it goes. Oof. Wind is blowing pretty darn hard. And I want to be a little bit careful. It's generally not a good idea to be driving at night. And I can see sun is definitely on its way down. It's about 5:30 now. I think sunset's going to be 7:30-ish. I'd like to be back out on the main road, so I need to get turned around and get out of here. I wish I could spend a little bit more time here. It's pretty peaceful. Just listening to the waves crash on the beach. Got all the seagulls down there. When I first pulled up, there was a couple of pelicans. A lot of this coast is pretty rocky, but then it breaks up and you get this really nice beach like this. I can see why it attracts a lot of surfers, kind of cruising along and hitting the different beach spots like this. Okay, racing the sun set out of here. Going back through the mountains. Just want to give a sense of place here. The road leading out to La Bocana. This is all agricultural farmland here, and you can see that there's largely migratory workers working on these farms, and I'm passing some of these small kind of shack-like boarding houses that they tend to live in. Now, some of the other ones that I've seen that are actually occupied are small trailers, although they don't look like they've moved in a very long time. But it looks like most of the people living back here, other than that little community that I had filmed of permanent housing right there at the beach, is really populated. I'm also noticing that virtually everybody that I'm passing on this gravel road, and it's probably a person every 10 minutes or so, is waving. So that's an indication that this is small community, tight-knit, not a lot of strangers, and generally friendly, rural type attitude. I don't feel sketched out at all being out here, other than that the road is a little rough and I got a little car and there's snakes. The cows have made their way onto the road. All right, come on, you guys. I'll go around you. Their afternoon of fun. I'd love to get the drone in the air and have it follow me, but I don't know if I dare. It's going to take time, and I am racing the sunset. Still have 20 clicks to get out of here. I think maybe one thing that I'm thinking, there's this idea that the surfers were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that they may have seen potentially, let's say, a drug offload or something happen that they shouldn't have seen. They don't seem the type to have gotten the wrong way on a drug deal. Other than, yeah, I mean, that's just not the type of guy that they are. So it's possible that they were in a spot where maybe a cartel was dropping off a certain amount of drugs and they happened to be close to the beach or saw it. I've probably passed maybe 4 or 5 delivery trucks on this trip in from the highway to La Bocana. And so this is a delivery corridor, and hypothetically a boat could be offloading a certain amount of weight of stuff, loading it onto a waiting truck, and then it heads back up into the road system. So it's a thought. It just seems to be something about how it went down that makes it seem unlikely that this was what it is being portrayed as being, which is some desperado local wanting the tires off of the truck and then setting it on fire and dumping bodies and burning their campsite while stealing maybe only an iPhone or something. I guess on some level we're just never going to know what the police know, and without that we're basically stuck speculating. This road is rough, especially in this area. I passed a grader earlier when I was coming on my way in, so that will smooth the road out quite a bit. But I'm going to hold it and not go pee because snakes. So just wanted to give some background on the surfers who got killed here in Baja California. Well, I'm here in Ensenada. A lot of people are very scared now of coming to Mexico. You can see behind me, we've got one of the Carnival cruise ships, and then it's a working port here, so you have a lot of fishing vessels and cargo unload. Ensenada is actually a bigger town than I had expected it to be. But the feel here, it doesn't feel dangerous at all. Going out to La Bocana, like I did yesterday, I didn't get the feel that there was anything malevolent or unfriendly. The folks that I was passing on the road were waving. I mean, it just seemed like super small town, not a whole lot of people around. On some level, murders in Mexico are not solved very often, and we do know that it's common practice for the cartels to, in order to keep heat off of themselves, to provide scapegoats, folks who they can give to law enforcement to make sure that the heat stays off of them. And a lot of people are saying that the folks who got arrested are that type of person. But there's also the fact that random violence happens. These were folks with long rap sheets, although from what I understand, not violent ones. But at least I can get us out and take a look at where it happened, give a basic idea of what it's like to be out here in Baja California. This is a recommend reconsider travel from the State Department area of Mexico. Although nothing here feels dangerous, especially in a town like Ensenada. that the cruise ships are still stopping in at. I mean, this one Carnival cruise ship, I would guess, has a couple of thousand people that are out here walking on the streets right now. So we'll be headed up to Tijuana next and do some touring there with a taxi driver that I know. And we'll see some interesting stuff. San Diego sector is now the busiest for migrant border crossings along the US-Mexico border.